Welcome to the first edition of Check It Out with EVPL Footnotes. Today, we're going to be talking about food allergies. As some of you may know, according to the Asthma and Allergy Foundation of America, upwards to 32 million people are affected with food allergies. And since we have Thanksgiving and Christmas, two big food-centered holidays coming up, we have Kerisa here to discuss with us food allergies and different resources the library has to help you with that.
Hello.
So, Kerisa, tell us a little bit about yourself.
My name is Kerisa. I have worked in the children's department of Central Library for the last 25 years. I was about 10 years ago diagnosed with an autoimmune disease and told that eating gluten-free would help with that. So I do not have celiac disease, but in order to alleviate some of the symptoms of my autoimmune disease, I eat gluten-free.
So how has that affected your holiday menu? What things have you had to change?
Well, before the diagnosis, we went out to eat for Thanksgiving quite a bit because my mother doesn't like to cook. So after the diagnosis, I now cook Thanksgiving and Christmas dinner every year. And I've started out making by scratch because, about 10 years ago, there wasn't a whole lot of really tasty stuff that was gluten-free in the stores. But anybody who is eating gluten-free now should know that there are a lot of really good things out there in the stores. They're getting better every year.
Cool. So what are some of your favorite things to make that are gluten-free?
I like to make a dressing. I cheat and buy a gluten-free box stuffing. And then I use a broth and I put all of my 𝗦𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪, the onions and carrots and celery, and I put all of my seasonings in that and I cook those down really well, and then I put them in with the stuffing and bake that for a while so it makes a really nice moist dressing. And my parents love corn pudding, so that's with cornbread. Gluten-free wise, that's mainly what I cook. We don't do green bean casserole anymore because it uses canned.
That hurts my heart so much.
I know, right? The canned cream of mushroom soup, and finding a tasty gluten-free cream of anything soup is difficult. And I don't feel like making that from scratch. So I found a recipe for roasted green beans and mushrooms, and my dad really likes that. So, and he doesn't like green things, so I find that a win. So, yeah, that's what I'll be doing next week.
Nice. Was your family able to just adjust to this shift right away, or did it take a few go-arounds before everyone just kind of felt at peace with the new menu?
It took a while, especially with my dad. He's got a really bad sweet tooth, and he keeps making Mom buy him Oreos, so which he's not supposed to have anymore, but that's a whole other conversation. There are now gluten-free Oreos, so in my book, that was a real win, although I found that I don't like them as much anymore. Even though they're gluten-free, I don't like the name brand. There's a generic gluten-free company called Glutino, and their chocolate sandwich cookies are better than Oreo, I think.
Yeah, you gotta
to
go
me
where
anyways.
You gotta go where the taste is, yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, it is what it is. It's a learning experience. Every year I find something new that tastes better or tastes different. But, cooking is a learning experience every year. Every time you try something will change a little bit. So,
and especially with people with very prominent food allergies, you have to be very careful about cross-contamination too.
Very much so.
Because I have a friend who has celiac disease, and she's just kind of been my port of entry to learning the world of gluten-free things. And we went to a restaurant here in town. I won't mention which one, but she ordered a pizza gluten-free. And as we found out later, they had probably used the spatula that they use for the regular pieces for gluten-free. And just that small exposure was enough for her to feel it.
Oh, yeah. That's a huge difference for people with celiac and people that just have sensitivities. I don't get the cross-contamination effects as bad as somebody with celiacs would. I mean, a cross-contamination could possibly put somebody with celiacs in the hospital.
Yeah.
And it can be really bad. And, me, it'll just give me an upset stomach.
Yeah.
Which is, I'm thankful for that I don't have to deal with that. But it's really bad. I've got a friend who, she's allergic to a lot of foods, but it depends on how the food is prepared. Like, she's allergic to raw carrots, but not cooked carrots.
Yeah.
Because the cooking process breaks down the protein that she's allergic to in the carrots. So, you never know.
And my brief research for this little snippet of episode, I didn't know this, but I guess eggs are like one of the top foods that people are allergic to. And it gets a little weird because some people can be allergic to only the yolk, but be fine with the egg whites, and vice versa. In fact, more people are allergic to egg whites than the actual yolk. Mm-hmm. But then also you can prepare the eggs a certain way and it'll be fine.
It'll change the protein.
Yeah, it'll change protein. Yeah.
Interesting. I didn't know that.
What things do we have here at the library to kind of help people with this journey if they're going to be if they're going to try to be a little more mindful of the ingredients they're using and various people's sensitivity to proteins and their allergies as well?
We have a load of books, both physical books and ebooks within the system about all the different allergies. Some that are just allergies in general, so it'll go over a little bit of everything. Within the recipe books, we've got a lot of books that have recipes for specific allergens, or cutting out specific allergens, rather. Ebooks on the same. We've got a few magazines, although we're kind of moving away from having physical magazines. We've got the magazine subscriptions now. And I found, doing a little research earlier, that we have at least one database in our system, the Hobbies and Crafts Reference Center, that has some links to articles online. I searched for allergen cooking and got about 92 results. Some of those were off subject just because they had, the words in them, but they weren't, because one was like pets or something like that. I was like, well, that does me no good whatsoever.
Yeah, well, hopefully people don't get the idea you can cook your pets.
Right? So. You never know.
Yeah. Well, we're not that type of library.
We're not that type of library. So there's a lot of information out there. Personally, Pinterest is my friend. I have many, many Pinterest boards with recipes, and I literally went through and made separate boards for each type of recipe, like sides and sandwiches, and I'm that kind of person. But also I want to remind people, if you have a favorite family recipe, when it comes to gluten, some allergies, it'll be a little more difficult to change, but when it comes to gluten, there are a lot of good products out there that you can just replace your flour. Like the King Arthur Flour Company makes a really nice 1-to-1 flour replacement that's gluten-free. So if you've got a recipe that calls for all-purpose flour, you can just replace that with the gluten-free. And it's fairly simple to do now. It used to be you had to add all kinds of extra stuff to the flour to make it work, xanthan gum and this, that, and the other, and it was just way too much work.
Yeah, you were kind of turning culinary arts into like chemistry at that point.
Exactly.
Okay. So clearly we do have a lot of resources for anyone who's having to considerably change a lot of things about the recipes, or if you're just interested in just seeing, how you can modify a lot of your recipes to be a little more healthy for some people who have these food sensitivities. We will have links for everything that Kerisa mentioned. And do you have anything else you want to talk about, or?
Not off the top of my head. No, that doesn't mean I don't.
All right. Well, we'll come back with footnote part 2.
There
maybe.
You go.
Yeah. So thanks very much for giving us your insight and all those wonderful links and resources.
You are very welcome. Thank you for having me.
All right, and thanks once again, everyone. Have a happy Thanksgiving.